US Soccer on TNT is presented by Allstate. Tonight we're in Columbus, Ohio, a city that has played such a huge role in the history of the US men's national team. The latest step on the road to the home World Cup sees Tim Ream and the US men take on Japan, just a few days removed from that 2-0 defeat against South Korea in Harrison, New Jersey. A different formation tonight for Mauricio Pochettino as he makes 5 changes to the side that lost against South Korea. The United States looking to get back to winning ways against a Japan side that tied 0-0 against Mexico in California at the weekend. Japan making 11 changes to their starting lineup for tonight's game as the US, having faced criticism in recent days, are trying to take a positive outlook and get a positive result from this game against a side that has already qualified for the World Cup, Kyle Martino.
And a fast, energetic start is not about pressing. It's not about running around and doing individual work. It's about sticking to the game plan, making gradual adjustments over the first 10 or 15 minutes to solve problems. But the intensity level is with the ball, it's without the ball. That's what Pochettino wants to see from his side that he didn't see last game.
In tonight come Alex Freeman of Orlando on the right side, Chris Richards, who came off the bench at the weekend but starts this one tonight in the back three. Roldan in the midfield, and Dejas and Balogun, who both made appearances and made an impact as substitutes at the weekend. Here is Freeman racing forward down that right touchline. Balogun rushing into the box for the delivery. And Japan able to get it away as Maeda of Celtic clears towards halfway. It's a second cap for Blackman at the back, the Vancouver man who met that one there. And now Dejas comes back towards Tyler Adams, who starts his second game of this window.
Look at how high the starting positions are of the wingbacks for the U.S. Really aggressive attacking posture. It creates this box in the midfield that they want to try to create combinations and break the game open in those wide positions.
Roldan in the midfield with the ball backwards. His first start for the US since July the 3rd, 2023. 6-0 win against Trinidad and Tobago. A 16th start for Roldan in his 39th cap. A late addition to the squad. Freeman again chasing forward down the right side, and he just won't be able to get on the end of that one. So Kyle, as someone who played in a fullback role a lot of the time, what are the differences when you're playing as a wing-back as opposed to a natural fullback in a back four?
Well, I know what, you said that question as if I could actually play fullback. That's more of a B's question, but knowing playing honestly in front of a great fullback in Frankie Hejduk when I was with the crew and occasionally with the national team, yeah, the wing-back role is just, it's going to suit Freeman for sure because you have a little more freedom to start in an attacking posture.
Chasing forward here down the right side, it's Mochizuki. I'm sure I've seen you do it. You could.
Yeah.
Out of play on the right side. And Japan with the early throw here close to the corner flag. Junior Ito will come across to take it. In fact, the corner in the opening 3 minutes here. Swung in towards that 6-yard box where Ream gets a good header on that one. Out of the box it goes, only as far as Nagatomo. And then to the right side, just kept in play here by Junior Ito. Ream way down the left touchline, and Roldan plays it inside. Picked up here by Araki in the middle, and then into the path of Fujita, 23-year-old who plays in Germany with St. Pauli. And now Ito. The flag goes up for offside here.
They're a little lucky there. Yeah, Suzuki picks up the ball in the midfield, no pressure on the ball. That was one of the things that I think, if you isolated one major problem against South Korea, was sitting in the middle or low block and not getting pressure on the ball. Watch out to be able to get turned right there. And you see there's a moment of indecision between the players, and definitely offside. Those are the moments where even if you're not close enough to get a hand or a tackle in, you got to close down a passing lane and try to force that player's head down.
Ream with the ball across towards the far side and brought down by Tristan Blackman down that touchline looking for Freeman, who's been very advanced in these opening minutes. And Maeda with the foul. Six MLS players starting this one here tonight, including the goalkeeper and 4 of the back 5. Hajime Moriyasu has been in charge of Japan since July of 2018. Took over as head coach just after the 2018 World Cup. Won 3 J-League titles as a club head coach. 35 caps as a player. Here comes Freeman gliding forward, and the way opens up here as Freeman rolls it through, just too far in front of Zendejas.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we walk the field. I mean, the pitch is absolutely perfect, but it does play a little fast. Just led Zendejas too much there, but a lovely sequence. And already, you asked the question earlier, Freeman, the times we've seen him, it's been in a back 4, and even when they're building out of the back and he gets width, he didn't really get width very high up the field. I just love that he's going to be able to take that extra bit of risk, knowing that other center back's there, and Tyler Adams on that side that can chip over and help.
Mochizuki down the right side, trying to get on the end of this one, pulls it back towards the edge of the area where Adams got back to break it up well. And this is Christian Roldan of the Sounders. He won the League's Cup, went on vacation for a few days, and cut that vacation short when he got the call from Mauricio Pochettino. Richards with the ball out towards Ream. Ream pushing it forward for Balogun to chase onto. And the keeper came and got there. Asako gets the chance tonight for an 11th cap, 7 clean sheets in his previous 10 for Keisuke Asako, who plays for Sanfrecce Hiroshima in Japan.
I like that, testing that back line. And the good part about this back 3 formation is Ream is picking up the ball in a wider, more advanced, almost like inverted fullback role, and he's wonderful playing the ball out of the back.
This might fall to Balogun here. A little flick back into the path of Pulisic, and goes for the top corner. Wasn't too far away.
And just sloppy, but look at that pressure from Marston. He's already there to get a foot in, and that back heel just a little behind Pulisic, so it starts his angle away from the goal. He definitely has this in his locker. Just can't wrap the foot around it. Nice aggressive start here from the U.S., and you can see their first line of confrontation higher up the field, trying to instigate.
Green gets ahead to that one, drops here towards Pulisic. And then Arfston. In towards Adams. Blackman. Adams forward. Zendejas. Blackman down the right side. Mauricio Pochettino wanting to give Tristan Blackman another opportunity tonight in that back line, having made his debut at the weekend. Back it comes here towards Hayato Araki. Mochizuki into the feet here of Kaishu Sano, the Mainz man, who plays in the midfield tonight for Japan. They've also gone to a 3 at the back formation tonight. This is Nagatomo looking for the crossfield ball wide to the right side for Mochizuki. Little back heel there into the path of Ito, and the Genk man crosses it to the middle. Freeze with a good save. The flag is up. And Matt Freeze got down really well.
I mean, this is an excellent save. In last game there was an offside call that he ended up making the save on Son anyway. He's done the same to start this game. He's expecting the header, so he's holding his position. He's staying, cheating that near post, but the second it gets over the defender's head, so quick to get down low and make that save. Obviously the flag went up, but wonderful goalkeeping.
Roldan wide to that right touchline, and Freeman goes down. Tyler Adams caught there on that far side, just on the knee, as they tried to spring down that right touchline. He looks to be in a fair bit of pain. 52nd cap for Tyler Adams, who played just over the hour against South Korea. Here's Freeze making his 8th straight start, 6 in the Gold Cup and these 2 friendlies. Also started against Turkey in Hartford as the flag goes up here for offside. Chizuki with the throw back towards Sakine, who plays for Reims in France. Over in Balogun's old club. Here's Ream forward towards halfway. Araki all the way back to Osako. Luke Wildman, Kyle Martino in the booth, and Melissa Ortiz pitch side. Melissa.
I'm sitting right next to head coach Mauricio Pochettino and the coaching staff, and you already see a difference between the last game and today's game. The temperament, the body language, the communication with the players. I mean, in this first 10 minutes alone, the intensity, the aggressivity, the chance creation, and Pochettino keeps shouting out, well done, guys, well done, and you keep on seeing, complimenting that intensity that we're seeing so far.
Mochizuki's throw down the line. Sano chasing. This is cut out there by Tim Ream. Ream's 9th straight start. He's played in 15 of the 18 games now under Mauricio Pochettino. We talked about how much Columbus means to this team, and 14 games played in this city, only 1 defeat for the US men's national team. It's their 3rd visit here to this stadium, Lower.com Field, the relatively new home of Columbus Crew. Adams with the ball across to the right side, and Blackman can carry it forward. He's got support there from Freeman down that touchline. Maeda, the Celtic man, gets the cover as it comes back to Blackman, trying to slide it through for Zendejas. And a free kick given here for Japan, as Zendejas was involved there really high up. The US were training at Columbus Crew's training facility. It was great to get a tour around the new facilities there and get another glimpse of historic Crew Stadium, where so many of those incredible nights happened.
I mean, a special place for all of us. You know, saw Dante Washington, who's working with a lot of the youth players, and was a very important part of the Columbus history. He was texting with Mays and ducking out, and just saw Frank Haydick again in the tunnel. You know, it's pretty special to see how world-class that training center is, and just a lovely little touch that is connected to that old ground that was so special for all of us. This stadium's the future. I mean, the Columbus ownership group, Pete Edwards, who was our doc when we were there. I mean, it's a very special town that's obviously found success and reinvested it back in the facilities. It's a new feel to the Dos a Zero years. It's obviously not as cold as normally it is in those games, but this is a beautiful place to play football.
A city where the United States has had some big moments, qualified for World Cups. Previous 2 visits in this stadium, also World Cup qualifiers. 2-1 win against Costa Rica in October of 2021. Serginho Dest getting one of the goals that night. 1-0 win against El Salvador in World Cup qualifying in January of 2022 when Anthony Robinson scored. All the way back it goes to Osako.
Love that for Tyler Adams. There, right when that ball turns over, doesn't wait. He's not even the closest person to go put pressure, but forces the negative pass.
Araki. Mochizuki all the way back towards Osako. Japan side that tied 0-0 with Mexico at Oakland Coliseum. Only 3 shots on target in that game combined. 1 for Mexico and 2 for Japan. It's the 3rd time they've failed to score in 5 games in FIFA windows this year, but this is a side that has experienced a lot of success in recent times. They've won 27 of their 33 matches that they've played. And across 2 rounds of World Cup qualifying, they became the first team to qualify and book a spot in the World Cup, other than, of course, the host nations when they did so back in March. Here's Fujita.
That's the one thing today, is just different level of quality. Obviously, this is a This is the second team, if you look across the experience of this squad and the team they've put out recently to qualify and against Mexico. Yeah, that sequence where outside the 18, the timing's off, the ball is not as high quality of the Japan starters, but also South Korea last game. But still better from the U.S. Still better in making sure that the intensity levels there, the commitment to close the ball down. It's a good start from Pochettino's men.
11 changes today for Japan. 8 of the 11 with 10 caps or less heading into this match. Mochizuki with the cross in towards the back post, and Freeze has to get there. Junior Ito was the one connecting with that.
Mochizuki, he's bombing forward, and just great strength there to throw off Marston. They found joy on this side. Marston's been in the right positions, but they keep coming down this way, putting pressure on the near ball side for the U.S. And Tim Ream had a little conversation with Marston right after that play. That's one thing I have noticed is off the ball, just a lot of communication so far in this game. An interesting thing at the beginning too is Ream's wearing the armband, but actually as he walked over and did the captain duties at midfield, he actually tapped Chris Richards to speak to the group, and you could tell how passionately Chris Richards was speaking. And Tim Ream, it's just amazing at this point in his career. He's their leader. He is absolutely the one that you expect to have the armband and leading by example, consistent performances, and you have to imagine he's at that World Cup.
And that was something that Mauricio Pochettino did straight away when coming in. And that captain's armband to Tim Ream. Richards heads forward here, drops down for Roldan. Nice little turn there, and Tyler Adams finds Zendejas. Freeman. Blackman. Now Richards. The US outshot South Korea 17-5 at the weekend. 5 shots to 4 on target. But things really changed after they made a change in formation and 4 substitutes around the hour mark.
You see Tyler Adams right there at the top of the box, just having a conversation there with Roldan, and when that sequence happened, he put his arms up. And I think that's the thing that for Adams, he does so well. Doesn't get frustrated that he's covering extra ground, doesn't get frustrated someone's there. He solves it, immediately turns around, tries to communicate why did that happen. And especially with Roldan, who he came in last game and was excellent with his intensity, and in this very formation, they found their way back into the game, and he's starting with that same level of intensity, but sometimes he's got to just make sure positionally his spatial awareness is right.
Little flip through from Zendejas. Balogun first to get there. He's got support from Christian Pulisic. It's rolled through. Pulisic back to the path of Balogun. The block coming in first, the save. Then Zendejas with a header straight into the arms of Osako.
Lovely combination here. Balogun gets onto that first chance, and watch Christian Pulisic just slide into this area. Great strength, but also return it to Balogun, and you wonder if he's got to take that first time. He does really well to collect it. You have to say he does clean it up and get the shot off quickly. I thought that was Nagatomo who made that last-ditch effort to block it. Lovely combination.
Balogun coming on in the 62nd minute against South Korea. That was his first appearance since last September. 5 goals in 18 caps prior to this one. Here's Roldan. Freeze. Ream down the left side, pushing it into the path of Arston. That's Arston having so much success in this stadium, having been drafted by Columbus, scoring on his debut in a big win over Atlanta. Here's Tyler Adams, up over halfway. Freeman.
Building out of the back, right down below. It's got a clap from Mauricio Pochettino. Great composure from Tim Ream as the pressure came on him to not just curl it up the corner to play out of that.
Richards to the left for Ream. The US seem to have much more control here through 19 minutes than they did in Harrison, New Jersey at the weekend. Pulisic dropping deep to get on the ball here. Out it comes for Ream. Richards, who has played every minute so far of the first 3 for Palace in the Premier League. They'll play home to Sunderland on Saturday when the Premier League play resumes. Ream with the little ball forward here, looking for Pulisic, but it's headed away there at the back by Araki. Mochizuki pushing it forward down the right side, and Ito. Junior Ito able to find that ball out to the right, and Suzuki couldn't get it through. Another chance here for Mochizuki. This one curled in towards the back post, and a climbing header there from Mochizuki, which Freeze was able to save.
Ream at least rises up to just make it difficult for Suzuki to get power on that. An easy save in the end for Freeze. An incredible leap from him.
Freeman back for Adams. Adams with the ball up for Balogun on halfway. And Freeman just able to play that one through, and Balogun is onto it here. Support coming now. Pulisic racing through the middle. Balogun might go all the way himself. Balogun lays off here for Zendejas. And the deflection comes towards Balogun, who couldn't bring it under control. Maeda, in his 25th cap, brings it down and finds Fujita. Just a 4th cap for Fujita. And Japan turn it over once again. Zendejas back for Freeman. This is Adams. Roldan. Ito Suzuki going backwards. Carried forward here by Sano. He came on for the final 20 minutes against Mexico.
The first 20 minutes or so here, I mean, Balogun has been excellent linking the play up. He's been an option in that lane and playing 1 or 2 touch, holding the ball up. I mean, he really has been an excellent outlet to get them in transition, powering forward, and then that's one of the reasons that the wingbacks can commit to those runs and stay on them earlier, as Balogun has rarely turned the ball over. They've used him as that pivot to get out in transition.
I know it was late in the game and South Korea had made a few changes, but Balogun also made an impact and took his chance when he came on at the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, very good. I think referee, even though there's a good tackle here in terms of getting the ball, I don't think he likes just how he leaves the ground and gets both of the feet off. Now he does plant that left foot again, doesn't leave it dangling in the air, but just the way he leaps into that tackle, the referee takes exception with.
Yellow card shown to Zendejas. The referee is Brian Lopez of Guatemala, the 36-year-old. It's his 4th U.S. game. He actually refereed the U.S. World Cup qualifying win here against El Salvador back in January of 2022. Refereed at a couple of Gold Cups and the last 3 Leagues Cups as well. Were unbeaten in 15 against opposition from the Asian Confederation before that defeat against South Korea at the weekend. Zendejas also had a yellow card after coming off the bench, made an immediate impact against South Korea at the weekend. Not afraid to get stuck in.
There's a little bit of a line between stuck in and slightly reckless.
Push forward down the left for Arston. Mochizuki finds Junior Ito. 64th cap for Ito. 14 goals for the Genk man as it comes all the way back to Araki. 29-year-old defender out to Nagatomo, who has 144 caps now with this one tonight plays for FC Tokyo. Wears the captain's armband on. Second most Japanese caps of all time.
Ogawa playing at the top of the formation. He's not really begging a lot of questions of the back three. He's almost the second phase, just sitting in the blind spot of the center backs. And becomes an option once they find joy in these wide positions. Japan needs him to work a little bit harder to be an option right here. That's what they need more out of him. The U.S. has done such a good job of making it predictable east and west. Yeah, if he doesn't test that back line, the U.S. is going to continue to shrink the space in between.
Played up top towards Ogawa, who has 9 goals in 9 caps. Suzuki turns it out to Nagatomo, who is pushing forward from that left central defensive position. Suzuki once again. Junior Ito. Richard steps in. Fujita all the way across to Sakine. Sakine from distance.
Richards, out of the entire group there, it was just a little languid and waiting for someone else to go press, and Richards passed 3 or 4 defenders to step and make that challenge. And Pochettino right down below me got off with his arms outstretched. You might have recognized the same thing we did. Sometimes it just is a little too easy in that 10 or 15 yards right outside the 18. Got to get pressure out on the ball.
Chris Richards talked about the freedom in how this team plays that is given to them by Maurizio Pochettino as he comes in to freeze there. He also said he really likes the back three. He's played a lot of it at club level with Crystal Palace, of course, but he says while some people see it as a more defensive-minded formation, he actually sees it in the opposite way, the ability to attack more, to have a little bit more freedom from wide areas for the fullbacks as well.
And then there's a lot of players that are playing it with their club team. And I think that's the other reality that we talked about in pregame. There's no qualifying. If you can't fix it, feature it. It's the reality. And so there were a lot of games with artificial stakes. There's a lot of experimentation. That phase is over, as Pochettino said in pregame. But there's a lot of reps that players are going to get with their club, a lot more than they're going to get here. And it's not, it's May before Pochettino gets a extended amount of time with the group where he can start to really embed some ideas. So sometimes it's, what's working for a group of players at the club level that they're going to be comfortable from the start here.
Yuto Nagatomo on the far side. Into the 28th minute here in Columbus as Maeda tries to get away towards the byline. It's put behind by Tristan Blackman for a Japan corner, a second corner of the game for the 17th ranked team in the world, the highest ranked team from the Asian Confederation. In the final round of qualifying, the third round of Asian qualifying, they outscored the opposition 30-3 in 10 qualifying games. They only lost 1 of 10 games, and that was after they'd already qualified against Australia in June, when they made a lot of changes. Junior Ito will take it. Curled in towards the front post. Freeze comes and is able to get that one away. Shizuki will take it. He plays for Machida Zalva, based in Tokyo. Freeman chasing to try and get there as Nagatomo comes across in that battle with Freeman, and the youngster from Orlando was so quickly out there down that right side.
Nagatomo was, I think, a bit surprised at how much ground he ate up so quickly.
Nagatomo at the age of 38. Freeman at 21. Ralston carries it forward and pushes the ball down the left here towards Balogun.